Welcome back to another insightful and exciting episode of Me and My Health Up. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher. I'm a nutritionist and mind coach, and this podcast is all about enhancing and enlightening your well-being. And today, I'll be doing that just for you. And we're going to be talking about the top 5 tips for a restorative and regenerative night's sleep. So I'm going to go through those top 5 tips. But before I do that, I just want to a shout out to a few listeners that have given me some feedback, and I really appreciate that feedback. So thank you, Camilla, Terry, and Ben. Really appreciate you listening to the Me and My Health Up podcast, and I love the feedback. So thank you. And for other listeners out there that are tuning in each week or every couple of weeks or every month, whenever you tune in, would love to hear what you're thinking of in terms of what you like about the podcast and what you'd like to see more of, less of. Just give me feedback. I love all feedback. As they say, feedback is the breakfast for champions. So let's rip into the top 5 tips for a restorative night's sleep. Before I go there, I got to share a story. The other night, I'm lying in bed and I'm just lying there and I'm thinking, why can't I get to sleep? I've ticked all the boxes today. I've watched sunrise. I've got out regularly and checked in with the sun throughout the day, maintained my body in the circadian rhythm. I've eaten well. I've haven't eaten too close to bed. I've had a restorative, calming, zen-like wind down into the evening before I got into bed. And I didn't have too much caffeine. I actually have less caffeine than what I normally do. And I didn't have it too late. And I'm thinking, why can't I get to sleep? And I'm thinking, my room's dark. I put my night vision no, not my night vision goggles, but anyway, on that point, I wasn't looking at devices after sundown, and I certainly made sure I had my circadian rhythm goggles on. So they were certainly helping me maintain the right light environment for a good night's sleep. And when I thought, is the room dark enough? I put on my night shades and made it even darker. And I'm thinking, like, have I got too much covering on? But I had, nothing but undies on, and then I didn't have any sheets on. And I'm thinking, oh, my wife's telling me the room, like the house is cool tonight. So yeah, the house is cool. And I'm thinking, what is it? And I lay there just thinking about, why can't I fall asleep? Like, I've done a lot of exercise today. I should be just dropping and falling asleep easily. And it took me about an hour and 15 minutes. And I thought, okay, I'm going to change the temperature environment. I'm going to put on the air conditioning for half an hour. I put the air conditioning on, and the minute I put the air conditioning on, put my head on the pillow, I don't remember much after that. So it was incredible. I was going through all the checklists as to why can't I fall asleep? And it came down to a simple factor that the room environment wasn't cool enough for me. It was cool enough for my wife, and she was saying, "Oh, it's a cold night tonight," and that sort of put into my head, "Oh, it's a cold night tonight." Yeah, so the temperature environment's fine. However, I needed a much cooler room, and the air conditioning works. So this is the difficult thing when you're co-sleeping, is that your partner will want a different temperature room to what you want, and it's a real struggle with getting that temperature right. So let me get back to the top 5 tips. I just wanted to share that story because I think, for me, the takeaway from the story is that as much as we can put everything into getting a good night's sleep, it might not just happen, and it, for whatever reason, you can never work it out. And so I I think the other thing is we need to be like, I guess, reasonable with ourselves and realistic in terms of our expectations, that we're not always going to have a good night's sleep. So that's certainly a fantasy, thinking that you're always going to have a good night's sleep. I do my best each day to make sure I have a good night's sleep. I've prioritized my sleep really, like, very much for my whole life. Actually, as a kid, I was going to bed early and getting up early and doing all the right things. And so sleep's always been a big part of my health regime. I've been doing it all my life. I've last probably 5 years with the Aura ring I wear, that's probably dialed it up another notch. I've been looking for those 1% improvements. And yes, I've noticed what those game changer sort of step changes are in relation to sleep. And that's what I'm about to share in terms of those top five. However, in saying that, I don't always get a perfect night's sleep. And for whatever reason, sometimes I can never work it out. My sleep isn't quite right. And it can be all sorts of things. Like I find if there's a lot of energy in the air, like there's a lot of euphoria and stuff like that, I'm a very energetic person and that generally excites me. And so, as much as I'm calming myself down, there's this environmental energy. And whether that be, I don't know, some team winning football, or people are just euphoric for some celebration reason, um, or I'm feeling a bit on top of the world for whatever reason. That underlying excitement can just be enough to affect my sleep. And sometimes the other end of the spectrum is I do too much training, and doing too much exercise affects my night's sleep. So there's a fine line, there's a tipping point for everyone in terms of you can overdo certain things that support a good night's sleep. And I actually haven't included exercise in my top five, but exercise is certainly it'd be in my top 10. But maybe I underestimate it because I'm very active. So someone who's not so active, I think exercise is probably in your top five, because you certainly need that activity to initiate or create sleep pressure, we call it. So the more activity, the more sleep pressure. But if you overdo the activity, you get that cortisol out of balance and your body sort of slips into survival mode, and you get second winds and things like that, second surges, and that's certainly not helpful. So yes, I still haven't touched on the top five, and I've been talking for a little while now, but here we go. So my number one is certainly the circadian rhythm. So, and what do I mean by the circadian rhythm? It's the night-day cycle. So it's making sure that you get environmental cues from the environment, and feel it in your body, so that your body knows what time it is. You can't just look at the clock and say, oh, it's 10 o'clock at night, therefore body go to sleep. The body doesn't work like that. The body doesn't give a shit what time it is on your watch. It only measures where the time of day, and from the environmental cues. So it's important to actually get first rise, see first light, or the first light you see is natural light. Certainly not, you don't want to be seeing device light first up. That is terrible. That is making the body totally confused. It just gets totally disorientated. It wakes up, and you're telling the body that it's the middle of the day because you're looking at these blue light screens, these blue lit screens on your phone, or you turn on the lights in your room. That's also blue light, right? Predominantly blue light. It's made up of a couple of light wavelengths, but it's predominantly blue light. And that's too much for the body. The body just gets a shock. It's a shock to the system so early on. It just thinks it's got out of its slumber, and you're hitting it with midday light. It's a real shock, and the body responds accordingly. So that's why we don't respond well to really bright light in the morning, because the natural outside light isn't extremely bright. Yes, it's bright, but the amount of blue in the light is a whole lot less than what you'd get from your screens and devices. So certainly getting morning light, so stepping outside first thing in the morning, going for a walk, is fantastic way to start the day. And then checking in with the day throughout the day to maintain that circadian rhythm, to maintain letting your body know what time of the day it is. So obviously, if we're in air conditioned and this sort of climatized or controlled room environment in terms of temperature, our body gets confused, because you think about, I guess, the environment. The environment is cool in the morning, and it heats up during the day, and then it starts cooling in the evening. And so we pick up temperature signals. So if we're just in air conditioning all day, our body it gets confused as to what time of the day it is. And particularly air conditioning with artificial lighting and screens, it gets totally confused. It doesn't know what to do. So we really need to check in and let the body know what the reality is in terms of being outside more regularly, more frequently throughout the day. That's number one. And if you can also see evening light, get out for that evening light. So I suggest you go for a walk after dinner to not only help digest dinner, but to let the body know that it's getting cooler, the light's dropping, and that your body will then start to wind down. It will start to turn the cortisol down, which is our daytime hormone, and start upon seeing darkness, the body will then start producing melatonin, which is our nighttime hormone, the hormone of darkness. So circadian rhythm, number one. Secondly, minimal light after sunset. So minimal artificial light after sunset. So it's okay to have firelight, it's okay to have candlelight, but really minimizing screen time and downlights, the lighting environment around us. So keeping that really low. Ideally, you want it minimal, the bare minimal that you can get around without falling over and tripping over and making it a safety hazard. So minimal light after dark, that will allow your body to produce the hormone of darkness, melatonin, by seeing darkness. So, and if you're really going to struggle to do that, then get some blue light blocking glasses. So there's certain brands that are really good in terms of they've been checked and audited by a third party that says that they do what they do. There's a whole lot of stuff on Amazon that's a bit rubbish. I got caught out myself, but certainly I know some good brands that can really. There's Blue Light Blockers Australia. That's a Blue Light Blockers Australia. I think that's what the name is. And then these ones I've got a Viva Rays, Viva VIVA rays, light rays, I think, Viva Rays, and they're US based. The other one is an Australian company, but what I like about these have got the different lenses for different times of the day. So if you're watching the YouTube, you can see me then put on the, when the sun's setting, the orange, the more orange. So at the moment, I've got the predominantly yellow lens. And so this is not allowing excessive amount of blue light in. It's regulating it for me. And then I wear this when the sun is dropping. So it's an orange lens. And so that as the sun's going down, a couple of hours, but over that period of when the sun is falling, or what does it do? It sets, doesn't it? It sets. And then after sunset, I put on this other lens, which makes me see predominantly red after sunset. So you think about when the sun sets, that's what light is transmitted, is predominantly we see in terms of visible light is the red light upon sunset. And that's not like firelight, for example, and candlelight. So yes, minimal lighting after dark, number 2. Number 3 is start winding down. Start no longer doing things that stimulate you. So don't look at emails. Don't look at anything that's going to stress you out. Don't open letters, letters if you get bills in the mail or whatever. Don't open them. Don't open anything that you anticipate will stress you out. So making sure what you want to focus on is safety and security, because as night falls, we naturally become a bit more insecure upon darkness, right? We have this sort of phobia of darkness because we can't see that well. And there's more uncertainty because we can't see that well. And so naturally, as the sun's gone down and time after dark, we are a bit more insecure. So if you're looking at things that are going to agitate you or violate that security, then that's going to boost up the cortisol and down regulate the melatonin. So you'll get more of the daytime hormone and less of the nighttime hormone. And that will prolong your ability to be able to fall asleep. So doing things that are not stimulating after dark, doing things that are winding down. Some of the practices that I do are stretching, rolling. I do some writing, like any thoughts that are coming into my head, I'll put them on paper so that I'm not constantly thinking about them. I've got them down to focus on the next day. So your to-do list, you want to, the things you didn't get done that day, make sure you put it on paper. Start clearing out the head, clearing out the clutter and the noise in the head and putting it onto paper. Some people like journaling, so you can journal as well. Journal your emotions, get all the feelings out, and start to really empty the headspace and start to relax the body. Some of the other things I've done in the past, I don't do it now, it's too hot, but hot baths, for example, with Epsom salts, magnesium salts, a fantastic way to wind down. I find that particularly helpful in the winter, but in the summer, I could do a cold one, I guess, a cold Epsom salt bath. That might be nice, but I generally go to the ocean in the evening in summer. So I'll pop down to the ocean and go for a dip in the ocean in the evening in the summer. So doing things that are cooling the body. We don't want things that are heating the body. We want the body to drop its temperature. We want our core body temperature to keep dropping in the evening. So again, this comes down to the room control. We need to make sure our room environment is going to let us fall asleep. If it's too hot, our body will be trying to keep us cool by increasing heart rate. We need our heart rate and core body temperature to drop to fall asleep. So making sure you cool yourself at night in a cool room. They say somewhere between 18 and 20 degrees. I'm certainly at the 18 mark. My wife's probably more at the 20-degree mark. So again, it's working out what your temperature is and trying to set that room temperature to the temperature that's going to help you fall asleep. The next one, number 4 on my list, is eat light. So eat light at night. Eat light at night. Do not have a big meal, because what happens is our heart rate increases to help digestion, to help get the nourishment and process the food in our stomach. So we don't want an elevated heart rate, and to keep the heart rate dropping or to make sure it stays low, we need to eat less, and don't eat too close to going to bed. Okay, so I really make sure I don't eat anything after the sun drops. And I generally don't eat anything like 2 hours before the sun dropping, something like that. I have a good window, at least 4, 5, 6 hour window before bed where I'm not eating anything. Yes, I do stay hydrated, but I'm not eating anything before bed. So eat light at night. If you're going to eat something, focus on the protein. The protein is the most important element. You can have protein with a little bit of carbohydrates, but nothing too heavy, nothing too stodgy, and not too hot. You don't want to have spicy food before bed either, because again, that elevates the heart rate. We want to keep the heart rate down, keep it relaxed, because our heart rate needs to be low in order for the body to start restoration and restorative practices and the healing and the regeneration. And last, number 5 on my list is device-free time. I sort of touched on this in terms of winding down and not exciting yourself, but certainly getting away from devices and using that time to be reflective. I find it's a great way to learn more about yourself, learn more about others. It's a great time to connect to others, but not be connecting on devices, connecting in person, connecting with self if you live by yourself. And that's where journaling really comes into it. Through journaling, we can develop a deeper relationship and understanding of self. Through more self-awareness, we can change things and improve our life. So making sure that you're minimizing device time. The thing I don't like about things like social media is it just naturally puts you in a state of comparison. And that state of comparison can generally make yourself feel low or not so great, low self-esteem. And that will get you a bit agitated, irritable, frustrated, which again will affect your ability to fall asleep. So stay away from devices. You're already insecure because the night is falling. We naturally go into a state of insecurity and uncertainty. So do things that are safe for you. That's where you put your boundaries in place. Put your boundaries in place. No device time, no social media, time to connect with self, connect with loved ones. and start building a stronger sense of connection with self and others, and develop that relationship. Do things that are restorative and safe, feel safe to you, that you just feel that safeness, and you're in your own home and feel protected. Do more of that, because that will relax the nervous system. So that's my top 5 tips, just to touch on them once again. So number 1 was stay in the circadian rhythm by checking in with the environment regularly throughout the day, at least 5 minutes every hour. If you can't do that, 10 minutes every 2 hours. Minimal light after dark. So minimal artificial light after dark. You can watch sunset, you can watch the moon. That's great light. But artificial lighting, we want to minimize. It is toxic to our body. And minimize exposure to EMFs. So minimize exposure to Wi-Fi and anything else that is emitting large amounts of radiation, such as your phone, your laptop, your TV. So just making sure you're minimizing exposure. Turn off the Wi-Fi at night. That is helpful. Turn off Bluetooth on your phone or on your watch at night. Turn off Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. That will also minimize this exposure to non-native EMFs, which are toxic to the body and agitate it, and is going to affect your ability to have a restorative night's sleep. Number 3 was down energy, drop tools, relax. Do things that are safe and secure in the evening. Tell the body everything's safe. You're safe, and it can relax. Eat light at night. Eat light at night. Focus on the protein. Protein's the number 1. Not too much, not too little, just right. And a little bit of carbohydrates just to help you sleep. And then lastly, I've got device-free time. And as I said, if you're not an active person, get active, because that is certainly in your top 5. Not in my top 5, because I take exercise for granted. But these top 5s is what I've learned from my Aura Ring that generally people don't do well on. So that's where I put my energy, and I found a significant step change in my sleep from implementing these top 5 tips that I've shared with you. Please share your tips with others in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback, and please rate and review this podcast. I'd love to get more ratings on my podcast, and please also share it with others. I'd love you to share this information with others. I'm all about enhancing and enlightening the well-being of others. The more you can share this, the more I can touch people's hearts, and that's my mission in life. Thanks for listening. And again, thank you, Camilla, Terry, and Ben, for your feedback. Very much appreciated. And I want to hear from every other listener. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much once again, and continue to health up.